Thanks very much for clicking on the video link. My name is Natalie, and this is an idle chat for the American Bar Association's Section for Dispute Resolution. And joining me today from Texas is Gina Buckley. Hi, Gina.
Hi, everybody.
I'm
Hi,
so glad
Natalie.
you're. Hi, I'm glad you're joining me for an idle chat. Are you ready?
I think so.
Oh, I promise it'll be nothing but fun. Miss Gina, in your opinion, when does fall actually start? Is it September 1st? Is it the equinox, or is it the first time you put on a sweater?
Well, I grew up in Michigan, and in Michigan, it could start even near the end of August. But here in Houston, unfortunately, it usually doesn't start until sometime in October. But, there is an official date that marks it. I wish my son in Florida, he lives in Tampa, a happy fall, and he says gross because he's in Florida for a reason. He doesn't like cold weather, so he's not a fan of fall, so or winter, even though they don't get much of one down in Tampa, just like we don't get much of one here in Houston. But
Fair enough.
long
Uh,
answer.
that's a great answer. Gina, next question. What is the best sport to watch, but that is a sport you can't imagine yourself ever playing?
Well, um, I don't know if I can do both of those because football, both college and NFL, is my favorite sport to watch. And I got to play powder puff when I was in high school, but it was only flag football. I can't imagine playing with a helmet and pads and seeing all the brutality that sometimes is in that sport. But I do enjoy watching it. I used to watch with my dad when I was a kid, and so I knew all about how it works. I know some people don't watch it because they're like, I don't even know what they're doing, and it goes so fast. But I really enjoy football.
I love NFL games. Who's your team?
That's shifted over the years. I'll be honest. Detroit Lions is what I grew up with, but they have not been good for a long time. Although the last couple years they've been showing some promise. So who knows? We haven't lived there, so we do root for the Houston Texans down here. Not Dallas at all. So for anyone in that Dallas area, I feel bad for them that they're fans, to be honest. But that's just me. I usually don't root against any teams, though. I enjoy good games, so I like to see a competitive game. New England Patriots while Tom Brady was there because we're Michigan fans and he was a Michigan player. So, but he's retired now and moved on to other things. So,
All right. Well, and maybe the Lions are in a building phase.
I mean, I definitely think they're on an uptick right now. We'll see if they can put it all together. Sometimes they've had good defensive years. Sometimes they've had good offensive years. We'll see.
It's a tricky sport. Um, Miss Gina, do you, when you're out having adventures, do you use a GPS app or do you use your own sense of direction?
If I use my own sense of direction, if I'm someplace where I've never been, I'll be in big trouble. Thankfully, my husband has a good sense of direction, but when he's driving, I don't have to worry about it. But when I'm driving, I generally use my phone app.
I think it's 2026. Most of us do these days, don't we?
Yes, if I've been someplace before, I'm usually pretty good. If it's around local, I'm fine. It's just when it's a new place that I just don't want to depend on my own sense of direction.
Fair enough. Yeah, that's fair enough. Miss Gina, what is a small act of kindness that doesn't cost us anything, but that really could mean everything to someone?
Um, the things that I've practiced, I mean, I try to smile at people when I see them, even if, the certain situations. Um, we have paid for people's food in a restaurant. Like there was this older couple in a restaurant not that long ago that I was watching them while they were eating, cute little older couple. I don't know whether they needed it or not, but we paid for their bill before we left our table. We've done things like that. Anonymously, we didn't like let them know. I mean, I'm sure that the waitress may have afterward, but and the other thing that I've done is paid for people's groceries, that sort of thing. And I know those are things that do cost money, but they weren't very much. Just someone behind me was having trouble paying, and I just said, "Hey, I will take care of it." They wanted to, they tried trying to figure out what they had to put back. And they looked like they had kids just from the what they had on the the belt. So, but those are little things. And definitely I watch Will Work for Food, and we give to the Houston Food Bank most of the time. So,
Well, thank you very much. You are a very generous person. Well, you and your husband, very generous people. Those things are much appreciated. That you're right. Those small acts of kindness to someone mean the world. Yeah.
but I also
Good.
volunteer a lot. I volunteer at some dispute resolution centers here in both Houston and Montgomery County. So I like to do that too whenever I can.
Big difference that
That's
makes.
that only costs me time, but I enjoy doing it. So.
You know what? The difference that you make in somebody's day-to-day life is massive. Much appreciated. Much, much appreciated. Miss Gina, if you could snap your fingers and be the world's foremost expert
Mm,
on anything, small, large, strange, quotidian, what would you be an expert in?
hmm. That's a tough question. One that I can honestly say I've never thought about before. Where do they need more experts? Um,
Well, what's a passion for you?
I would have to say it would have to do with kids in special education. I'm starting to get into that field, and I know there's a lot of parents that are confused by the system itself when they're trying to get the resources they need for their kids. And I know the schools, I think, also have the students or the kids' best interest at heart, but sometimes their hands are tied by the bureaucracy they work for. So if I could make things better there for both sides, and I could be an expert to do that, that would be, I guess, one thing that I've thought of more recently that I wish I could intervene on both sides' behalf.
That is an excellent way to spend your expertise. For Christmas, I'll get you a pair of scissors, help you cut through that red tape.
Oh, sounds fabulous.
All right. Miss Gina, when you're reading a book, do you dog ear the pages? Do you use bookmarks? Do you just roll the book over on its belly button? Or do you commit the page number to memory?
Hmm. I've probably done a couple of different of those things. I tend to use a bookmark when I'm reading a fiction book because I usually don't dog ear pages for that. When I'm reading a learning book, something nonfiction that I'm learning from, whether it's a biography or somebody like something to do with mediation or dispute resolution, I usually use sometimes I have the little sticky things where you can put them in there. Sometimes I just tear up one, you know, post-it notes and put them in places where I want to like refer back to if it has a lot of information on it that I looked over but didn't maybe fully digest. I will also uh, keep a highlighter if it's something I'm going to keep that I'm not going to give away to anyone else. I'll highlight it. And if it's not a library book, I mean, I do check out some books from the library, but I also own quite a library as well. So it depends on, I won't highlight or do that to anything permanent to a library book. But I do have to do that. In fact, I'm sure I could find an example here not too far, but I'm not going to worry about doing that. But I definitely have done multiple of those things. So,
A very civilized system you have. I like it. And I respect it because I do the same. Miss Gina, can you tell me what is one of the best compliments you've ever received?
oh, I guess, we have six children. They're all grown-up adults, over 25 now. And I think when they were little in the restaurant and they're all behaving and doing nice and people would walk by us when they're leaving and say, "Oh, you have a beautiful family." That I guess is to me the best compliment. And I can't say that, they were always that well behaved, but they tended to do pretty good out in the public most of the time. Doesn't mean they're perfect children for sure, but they they're good kids. So
But still, that good on you for raising proper humans. Well done, Miss Gina. Gina, I'll ask you the same question that I ask every guest on the Idle Chat, and that is to tell me a little bit about what you love most about the resolution industry and the work that we do.
well, I just think that we need more peacemakers in the world. I think that we have enough conflict in everyday life. It's going to be there. That's never going to go away. I like what someone said recently about conflict, that we have to stop thinking of conflict as bad or good. It's the situation around it and how people are reacting to it that makes it bad or good. So if we can teach more people how to react to it in a better way and to address, be willing to address conflict, because that's one thing I'm glad about as a mediator, an arbitrator, peacemaker, is that I'm not afraid of conflict. I'm not afraid to put my foot in that water. I'm willing to have the hard conversations. I'm just hoping the people at the table are also willing to have the hard conversations, because that's the only way it's going to come to a better place, is if they're willing to have those conversations. And to me, that's what mediation and conflict resolution allows us to do, is to teach the skills. Like, I first got into this through training and development and taught peer mediation and conflict resolution schools in K through 12 environment in Michigan for my first 5 years of being in this field back in 20 years ago, 20 plus years ago. And the reality to me was seeing those kids, even some graduate from high school and they reach back out to us at the mediation center I worked at there and said, you know, you helped me get my first job because of the communication skills you taught me through peer mediation, and just have life skills that they can use for the rest of their life, right? Something, they're going to always have conflict. They may not be a quote peer mediator in those situations, but they've got the skills to be able to deal with whatever comes their way in their career afterward, college. I mean, like I said, there's no place you can escape conflict in our life, sadly.
That is so true. And I think conflict resolution, communication skills, negotiation skills should be one of the core classes for
I
all
agree.
children. Those are lifelong skills that pay dividends.
Yeah, and unfortunately, what I hear about from kids in school these days is how many fights there were each day. And I just hate to hear that. I hate that that's what they mark the day by. Oh, we had 5 fights in the hallways today, or we had 2 fights at lunch. I'm like, I mean,
Yeah,
it's unfortunate.
that's not what we want to hear, but well done for you teaching a generation of children how to be better humans at communicating and managing conflict resolution. If somebody wanted to reach out to you and learn more about your practice in particular or the industry in general, what's the best way or what is one way for people to reach out and meet you?
Well, I'll just give the email I've had the longest, and it's GB, my initials, GB mediation 2005 at gmail.com. I'm working on having one associated with my website, but still that's a work in process, so I don't want to give it out until it's fully active. So
That's all right. And are you available on LinkedIn if somebody finds you
I
on
am on
LinkedIn?
LinkedIn as well. Uh,
Excellent. All right. So for those watching, go find Miss Gina Buckley on LinkedIn, connect with her, and you can talk for hours and hours and hours, I know, about how passionate you are about conflict resolution and teaching people communication and negotiation skills. I really appreciate you spending some time with me for an idle chat. I so sincerely enjoy these chats, and I love that some of the time that you had today was devoted to this chat.
well, thank you so much for inviting me and all that you do for this field. We appreciate you. So.
Thanks.